Welcome back. It's time now for Media Watch, and for that I'm joined by James Creedon. Hi, James.
Good evening, Tom.
Now, James, plenty of people, and I'm not saying I'm one of them, are
You're not allowed to say you're one of them.
are a little confused about this summit that's taken place in Brussels and the outcome. Please enlighten us.
Well, you see, journalists aren't allowed to say that. So if you go onto newspaper websites or whatever, everybody's making out that they understand every single nuance of this crisis. But actually, if you go on Twitter or other social media, people are being perhaps a little bit more honest. So this is one tweet that I picked up on here. I won't even pretend to understand the details of the latest Euro bailout. I would say that radiophonique is not alone in that particular expression of things. You find also on blogs and on a lot of different media, including Le Petit Journal, which is a satirical show here in France, people sort of making fun of the fact that a lot of people are trying to come up with fun metaphors for this crisis. This blog here, for instance, in this blog they say, you know, so a car runs out of petrol, another one has a flat tire. This is, of course, a situation where 3 different cars are taking a group of friends on vacation. So what do? You could siphon the petrol from one car and put it into the car that's out of petrol, or you could, for example, remove the tire from the petrolist car and use it to replace the flat tire. So actually, I think that example is more confusing
than the reality.
the reality of the situation. But you can see the lengths people are going to try to explain an extremely complex and technical crisis and an extremely complex and technical supposed solution to that crisis. So yes, lots of that online.
All right, and there are some people who are a little bit worried about China getting involved in the financial affairs of Europe. Why is that?
That's right. Well, I mean, as we saw, Sarkozy was on the telephone to China, and apparently they will contribute to that European Financial Stability Fund. So you can see here various tweets in France. Sarkozy has sold Europe to China. It's a communist country still, which isn't really the case. And isn't he supposed to be a right-leaning president? You also see on the Nouvel Observateur website, that's a sort of a centrist or centre-left weekly magazine. The right in France, or the political right, is applauded, while the left fears the shadow of China. And so what they're pointing out there is that many now fear the rising weight of China, in particular in European affairs. You can see here also a politician very close to François Hollande, who is the main challenger to Nicolas Sarkozy, saying this is an unfortunate piece of news about the Chinese now having a role in saving Europe. And he puts up a link to a 1970s film called The Chinese in Paris. Let's have a look at the clip to see what he's talking about. You can come back to me and we can talk over it maybe. So basically here, it's a 1970s film depicting a Chinese invasion of Paris. I think that's a little bit melodramatic, but you can see, I suppose, he was obviously being tongue-in-cheek about that, but some people are saying, really, does China have any role in helping Europe sort out its own financial affairs?
Looks like quite a good film, actually. I might watch that. Now, Sarkozy has been taken to the airwaves this evening, a very carefully choreographed interview on 2 television networks simultaneously.
Right. Absolutely. And there has been a lot of criticism of this over the last number of days. We were talking about it yesterday as well, Tom. People saying that it's overly choreographed, that he's using a private company to produce it when there's a state broadcaster ready, willing and able to do the same for no extra cost to the taxpayer. So a lot of criticism of this, and the latest round of criticisms is to do with following this particular show, which is on right now on 2 different channels, on Twitter. So when a lot of these big political moments are happening now, people are on Twitter, a microblogging site, commenting on it as it happens. And often the difficulty is organising those comments for viewers or for those online to try to follow what's being said, to get an overall picture. So the Elysée said they'd help out. They said, why doesn't everybody use the hashtag Face à la crise, F-A-L-C, Face à la crise, meaning facing up to the crisis. And that's what this whole show is about. Now, a lot of people are saying, hold on a minute. Not alone have you decided who the presenters are to interview you, you've also decided, which private production company is going to produce it. You've decided what the questions will be, who the cameramen are, and now you're telling us what hashtag to use on Twitter. So you can see this particular tweet here. The Elysée is, what is it going to do next? Tell us what to have for dinner, spaghetti or veal's head? I think I'd go for spaghetti, actually. But anyway.
Never heard of veal's head.
No, I think apparently it's a dish that some French people like. And elsewhere, they're saying the Elysee, as I said, decided on the presenters and camera. Can they not leave us decide how we're going to comment on this show ourselves? Thank you very much.
All right. Now, a video of Italy's Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi doing the rounds in the Italian media. I dread to think what's in that.
You know what? It's actually not as bad as it might be. Of course, there have been many controversies surrounding Silvio Berlusconi and his private life, or not so private life, of late. And I suppose he was also embroiled in, a lot of criticism over the last Sunday's summit, which preceded this Wednesday's summit, over being told off by Angela Merkel and Nicolas Sarkozy about reforms in his country. So a lot of Italians are not very pleased with him right now. And you can see here on the Nouvel Observateur website this video which came out of yesterday's summit in Brussels. Let's take a look at why he's getting flack again. And he does a double take. Now, honestly, I really think it's not so bad, but this has been on pretty much every news website in Italy over the last 12 to 24 hours. It was on the Nouvel Observateur website here. Essentially, all he did was look around very, very briefly at the, let's admit it, quite attractive Danish Prime Minister Helle Thorning-Schmidt. But poor old Silvio getting a lot of flack for it back in Italy.
Well, I have to say, it could have been an awful lot worse. Thank you very much indeed, James Creedon. That was Media Watch. Well, still to come here on France 24, our daily check of what's going on in cyberspace. Web News starts right now.